Welcome to the ATA Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Baird, and you're listening to episode 51. Each month on the podcast, we bring you news and insights from the American Translators Association. ATA was founded over 60 years ago to advance the translation and interpreting professions and foster the professional development of individual translators and interpreters. We have over 10,000 members in more than 100 countries. Members include translators, interpreters, teachers, project managers, as well as language companies, universities, hospitals, and government agencies. Both individuals and organizations can join the association. If you'd like to know more about ATA, be sure to check out our past episodes or visit ATA's website at atanet.org. Now, if you're a regular listener, you may have noticed that we took a little hiatus over the past few months. After we flooded your feed with 5 episodes in August and September, I guess it was time for a well-deserved break. We also didn't want to compete with ATA's 61st annual conference in October, which was a virtual event. And you know, the sessions are still available on demand, so if you missed it, you can still purchase the conference for some remote learning and earn some CE points if you're ATA certified. This is our first episode of 2021, and I'm really excited to welcome our guest and talk about ATA's all-new Mastermind Program. But before I introduce past ATA President Dorothée Racette, we have a few quick announcements.
Hey there, translators and interpreters. It's not too late for you to renew your ATA membership for 2021. It's quick, easy, and well worth it. After the challenges we faced together in 2020, ATA is ready to continue to support you in reaching new clients, maximizing resources, and providing community. This year, ATA is also offering an installment plan available for all members. Don't go it alone. Join or renew today. If you're a new ATA member, listen up. ATA will be offering new member orientation sessions throughout the year. The next one will be on February 2nd. Look for the registration link in ATA's online calendar. Also, in case you missed it, in December, ATA petitioned the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to explicitly include on-site medical interpreters among the listed examples of healthcare personnel eligible for Phase 1 vaccinations. 20 other organizations countersigned the ATA letter. Members can read the letter in the December 28th news briefs, and anyone can read the petition on ATA's website. And finally, an update on ATA's 62nd annual conference this October in Minneapolis, Minnesota. ATA is now accepting speaker proposals. With some 1,500 attendees each year, making a presentation is an excellent way to build your reputation and your resume, expand your network, and position yourself as an expert. The conference organizer is looking for relevant, original content that will help attendees build, grow, and manage a translation or interpreting business. Find suggested topics and tips for writing a winning proposal on ATA's website. Proposals must be received by March 1st. For more information on each of these announcements, look for the links in this episode's notes.
All right, we're back. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming Dorothée Racette to the podcast. Tess Whitty, who is the chair of the ATA Business Practices Education Committee and has been working with Dorothée to launch the Mastermind Program, was unfortunately unable to join us today. Dorothée Racette has been a full-time freelance German-English translator for over 25 years. She served as ATA president from 2011 to 2013. In 2014, she established her own coaching business, Take Back My Day, to help individuals and organizations solve problems relating to workflow and time management. As a certified productivity coach, she now divides her time between translating and coaching. Dorothée, welcome to the podcast. It's really great to have you with me today.
Hey, Matt. It's great to hear from you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, as you know, we're talking about a brand new program that ATA is launching this year, 2021, a new Mastermind Program. So let's start. Why don't you explain to our listeners what a Mastermind Group is?
Sure. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that. It's a very different concept. So a
Hmm.
mastermind group is peer-based. It means that there is no teacher, no instructor. The group is self-guided. So it's a small group of people who get together because they all want to learn about a specific topic and they agree to meet for a set amount of time. In our case, it's going to be 6 months.
Okay, so this isn't like a class with an instructor then.
No, when we first started introducing the idea, a lot of people thought we were talking about master classes, and they're going,
Okay.
well, I have this or that person who knows a lot about this. And we were saying, no, it's not the same thing as a master class. It's actually the exact opposite. It's a group where people learn together because they want to learn, and they choose what they want to focus on. And in their meetings, they assign themselves tasks and accountability, and then they follow up together.
Okay, so it's a group of peers working together, basically.
Yes, and we're really emphasizing that in the groups that we're putting together this year for the first time. So we don't want a situation where we have people with different levels of knowledge, because that would mean that someone who has a lot of knowledge would end up teaching the others. So it has to be really a peer group with people at a comparable level of professional experience.
Okay. Well, this sounds like it might complement a lot of other things that ATA is doing. I mean, ATA offers many ways for members to network and learn from each other. Members can join language or especially specific divisions. I'm a member of the German language division. I believe you are as well, Dorothee. There are forums to ask questions and exchange ideas. I mean, we have access to tons of on-demand webinars. The annual conference, of course, is another way we get together and learn from each other. And then, of course, we have to mention the mentoring program, which is run by the committee that you and Tess sit on, that Tess chairs, the Business Practice
Mhm.
Educations Committee. So I guess my question is, why is ATA introducing the mastermind groups? Yet another way to learn from our peers.
Um, I was thinking about that question, and I thought, the best example is, I don't know if you ever had this experience. You came home from a conference with a folder full of the greatest ideas and the best notes and full of
Yes.
intentions, and then you jumped back into your freelance work and you never opened that folder again.
Oh,
Um,
yes, I have definitely had that
I have
experience.
certainly done that myself. And so I thought, what might be the best way of following up with other people on all that great content? So we don't want to say that there's anything wrong or missing with the content that ATA is providing for members. We just thought
Mhm.
that would be a need for people to get together to talk that through and to brainstorm how they can turn all that great content into reality for their own business. We also get feedback quite a lot at ATA that um, there isn't so much content for people who have reached a certain level of professional experience. So there is a lot available for people in, let's say, their first 5 years of learning, because there's so much to learn. But once you're established in the profession and you have a regular client base, there's still a lot you can do, but the content becomes thinner at that level. So we thought those members might also want to have places where they can share experiences and talk about what's next, what's the best thing they can do at the next level.
Okay, it really does sound like it's going to complement ATA's portfolio. Um, so let's talk a little bit more about what this is going to look like. What exactly are these groups going to look like? How big are they going to be, et cetera?
Yeah. Um, we thought that probably the maximum group size should be 6 people. That is just simple math. We thought, well, if they meet for 60 minutes and we want each of them to have sufficient time to share in the discussion, then if everybody had 5+ minutes and then give and take in the beginning and end, that would make a full hour of peer discussion. So we want to keep the groups small. We want to make sure that they're well matched. So the application process that I'll explain to you in a bit is focusing on what is your level of experience, what exactly do you want to learn, and what do you have in mind? What will that look like for you? So we do want a diverse composition in the group. We don't necessarily want everybody speaking the same language or working in the same field. And we want everybody to be an ATA member. It's clearly a membership benefit. So there won't be any option to invite people from the outside.
Okay. Let's get into the nuts and bolts a little bit more. I think you just mentioned like signing up, registration. So how is the program actually going to work? And who can sign up and how will they do that?
Okay, so there is a link out that has been circulated. You can find it, for example, in the news briefs that just came out. It will be in an article that is appearing in Savvy Newcomers. And when you go to the webinar that we recorded about the Masterminds program, you will also find the link there. I'll send it to you too, so you can include it in the show notes if you want.
Yes, great. We will.
So it's a survey that you just put in the information, just follow the prompts of the survey and enter like who you are, what you want to learn. Are you willing to possibly serve as a facilitator for one of the groups? And then we will try and match everybody to the groups as they come together. I should mention that this program is not targeting newcomers to the profession. And the reason for that is that when you're really new to any profession, you're not clear about what to ask. So I don't see much point. I explained to you earlier that I want peer groups to form. So it wouldn't really work out to put a newcomer into a group with more experienced professionals. And we think it's not doing newcomers a service to put them together in a group. So I just want to caution people, if you're super new to the profession and you don't have clients yet and you're still wondering about how to get established, then maybe wait a year or two before you apply to the program. It's going to be offered every year.
Okay, great. As a little aside, Dorothee, because I know you're very involved in some of these programs, to any newcomers that are listening out there, can you quickly give them maybe a few resources they could access, ATA resources or programs that might be interesting for them?
That's a great question. Yeah, I would advise that they start at the Savvy Newcomers. They have just such a great collection of resources and programs where people can join in and ask questions. I would say definitely start there.
That's ATA's blog, basically for newcomers, right?
Yes,
for
there's an
people who are new to
entire
the industry,
program
new
there.
members. Okay, great. You said there's a sign-up process, there's a survey. So I'm assuming based on these survey results is how you'll put people together. How exactly is that going to happen? And also, how often are people going to meet?
We will leave the meeting frequency up to every group. So the process that I envision, and this is the first year, so it's kind of a pilot phase, and I'm sure we'll learn from it and do it in an optimized way next year. But the process so far has been, we have received applications. I have about 45 at the moment. The link will stay open until January 31st. And until then, people are welcome to enter their responses. I have another member of the mentoring committee, that's Jessica Hartstein. She and I will together take a look at all the submissions. I have already started to sort through, so I can give you an idea of, I'm pretty certain that some groups have already come together because there's sufficient interest. So we will just pick out what do people want to learn. Some of them gave us 2 or 3 different topics, which is certainly helpful because now the groups are filling up. And if you're telling us you're flexible enough, then we can assign you to one group or another. So we're just looking at general topics that may serve to have enough interest for 6 months. We think the groups will either meet once a month or maybe every other week if that's what they want to do, but we're leaving it up to every group how they want to arrange that, how they want to meet. They can do that completely independently.
Okay. And you just mentioned 6 months. Can I ask why that timeline?
Yeah, well, that comes from reading the literature about mastermind groups. And it's been found that after those 6 months, interest sort of begins to fade. Maybe, other things come along or people just aren't as excited anymore. So the groups are welcome to stay together beyond the 6 months. But the expectation that we're going to set at ATA is that they commit to staying together for those 6 months if they want to earn CE points.
Okay, great. A minute ago, you mentioned a facilitator. Does that mean that each group will have a leader? And if so, what will be that person's role?
Yeah, so we're hoping to find a facilitator for each of the groups. That does not mean, I mentioned to you earlier, we don't want that person to be an instructor or a teacher. We just want that person to chair the meetings, maybe watch the time a little bit. We will provide lots of materials so those facilitators can follow a set outline. We also have suggestions what to do in the first meeting so the group can come to agreements as to what will we do if someone doesn't do their work, or how we're going to handle conflict, those kind of questions. So the facilitators are not expected to know more than the other group members about the topic. They just agree to come to every meeting, maybe to set up the invitations in advance and to lead the discussion so the discussion can stay concise and useful for everybody. We recorded a webinar, Tess and I, that is available for free to ATA members. It was recorded on November 5th, 2020, and the recording's available on the ATA website.
Okay, and we'll definitely put that link in the show notes as well.
Mm-hmm.
You also just mentioned continuing education points, which is, those are ATA. Those are points that ATA certified members can earn, and they need to earn to maintain their certification.
Yeah.
So, how many points can members earn by participating in a mastermind group?
Well, this is a challenge right now because there's so few face-to-face meetings. So the virtual meetings have a greater significance at the moment. We think that someone who attends 6 months worth of a mastermind meeting and really puts themselves in and participates, the groups will take attendance so we can provide proof of that participation. So 6 months worth of a masterminds group is worth 10 CE points.
Okay, great. You also mentioned a few minutes ago that you just mentioned the webinar, and you mentioned that in a recent news briefs, listeners and members can get more information. Is there anywhere else listeners can go if they have more questions or would like to learn more about the program?
Certainly reach out to Mary at ATA. She can provide further information.
Mary
We
David.
We also wrote a blog post that will come out on Savvy Newcomers that I mentioned earlier, and I think that's coming out the next few days, definitely before the end of the survey deadline. So that has additional program descriptions.
Okay, cool. So watch for a new blog post on the Savvy Newcomer between until the end of January. Sorry, we're recording this in late January. Dorothy, I just have one more question for you. Is there anything else? Is there anything I missed, basically? Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about the new Mastermind program?
Well, I think it's an interesting and exciting opportunity to learn things that may not be covered in traditional classes or seminars that you can find elsewhere. I see that opportunity to work kind of across boundaries with other people. And I think that's what I find so exciting about it. So to meet other ATA members that you may never have come across if you didn't participate in this group, or talk about a topic from a really fresh angle. I can also give you a little preview here of groups that have come together if you're curious.
Yeah, sure. Go,
Yeah, I made a
please,
little list
please.
here.
Great,
I
great.
know for sure that we're going to have a group on marketing to direct clients. There's certainly enough people there. There will be a group of interpreters talking about remote interpreting and what to do now in this new market that's opening up for them. Probably another more generic group on translator tools. So I'm hearing that they want to talk about software, but also productivity tools such as Dragon, naturally speaking, things like that. So that will be not for a specific language, but just in general, talking about freelance productivity. Sounds like an interesting thing. And we do have one group of highly advanced individuals with many, many years of translation experience who are looking to find out what's next for them. And I thought that was so interesting, as we had talked about it in our conference presentation. And so there is a group forming that's really looking at, well, what's next for me here after working as a translator for so long? So if any of that is,
Fascinating,
yeah,
fascinating.
isn't that great? I'm
Yeah.
really excited about that. And so if your listeners are interested in any of that, they can let us know, but the opportunity is still there to suggest new topics that I may not have listed. And if enough people come together, then we'll form more groups.
Awesome. Well, Dorothee, first of all, congratulations on getting this new program off the ground, to both you and Tess and all the others who have worked on it. It's really fabulous. And we all know, those of us who volunteer for ATA, that these types of things only get going when people step up and volunteer and are the driving force. And so thank you very much. This sounds like a really wonderful new opportunity for members to come together and learn from each other. And thank you so much for joining the podcast, our first podcast of 2021.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
You've been listening to ATA Past President Dorothee Rasset. Special thanks to Tess Whitty, who helped prepare the podcast but was unable to join us today. Episode 51 was written and produced by me. Mixing and editing was done by Derek Platts. Ben Carl is our announcer. And the music you heard today was produced by Ben Sound. Mary David and Rashawn Paccarel at ATA headquarters provided editorial and technical support. If you like today's show, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating. If you have any comments about today's podcast or past shows, or perhaps there's a topic you'd really like us to cover, please don't hesitate to write me. You can reach me at podcast@atanet.org. And if you're interested in joining ATA or want to know more about the association, be sure to check out our past episodes, follow ATA on social, or visit ATA's website, atanet.org. All right, everyone, that's a wrap. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you again soon.